It's a wild sensation to be away from the open air. Out of Date's impressed you made it this far, but there's still so much left to do. The end of the world is still on everyone's minds. You've beaten a path where you have the power to destroy or save everyone. Question is, what you'll do with that responsibility. He can sense that your heart beats steadily and acknowledges that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Thinks it's important that you remember who you are and where you came from. Someone without knowledge of their history and origin is like a tree without roots. It's important to stay grounded. You share the same fate as the tree. Out of Date says there's a time for everything. And now there's no use thinking of the past, for it's gone. Think of the present, because that's where you are. It's time to set your priorities as the one who completes things. If you continue to do good, good will follow you. If the world really does end, there won't be anywhere to run. So he's prepared for the worst, something he calls the Ark. He hopes you're right. He gets that you mean the journey continues either way, but personally he wants the tree to survive. Out of Date says there's no clear record of the chain of events that changed the course of history and brought the world to its knees. He's found evidence on the Ark, records of a crisis, decades of contamination that permeated the ground and broke its inner core. The contamination disrupted what we now know as Ki energy, the life force that runs through all things, living and inanimate. He's been told the blight affected everything at a genetic level and turned our perception of normality on its head. It was only those that changed that avoided extinction, proving that the possibility for survival and renewal was real. He understands you are curious about the ship at the foot of the tree. He says it surfaced when the oil broke through the ground. The Ark predates the back-in days, and now, after years of study of the manuals he found inside, he believes he's figured the ship out. The Ark has room for 4 more, and he trusts you'll apply wisdom to your compassion and choose whom to save if the world comes to end. He'll keep the seats open, and you are free to invite up to 4 others to join you in the Ark in the event of a cataclysm. Out of Date says that from what he's heard, you've been busy. He says he appreciates what you've done so far, but unfortunately he's got urgent news from his friend Noko in the east. Out of Date says that even though he's unsure about your intentions, he hopes you'll support Noko. He says he'll point you in the right direction, but finding Noko and making sure she gets what she needs is up to you. That doesn't sound good. Out of Date was spot on. The hoof puff needs to be stopped. Out of Date says that Noko is worried now that the Eastern World Eater is stepping up its activity. He explains that Noko keeps a fabled steed that she has planned to ride out to the World Eater, but needs help to get it prepared. Out of Date suggests that you should head east as fast as possible and see what you can do to help.
Come, Reaper.
He wonders what's on your mind. Understand. Don't be fiery. It probably won't bite. Bang Shelter 6I is right here. Seems like it's in working order too. The light you see at night is brighter than you think. You finally found the village of Bumlidoff. Ah, the Gnote pen. Noko never leaves this place. She's always put the living things first. Let's see. Look at those peaks. Nooks isn't an easy language, but at least it's manageable. She says she is so happy to see you again. She wonders if you remember her. She's Noko. She let you ride her Majut when you were a kid. Noko remembers you used to chase around with so much energy and is glad to see you haven't lost any of that spark. But that's all long gone now, though. Memories show us where we've been, not where we're going. Seems reluctant to even say its name. It's become personal to her too, since it's taken so many of her innocent gnotes as prey. Noko remembers those days too, but she never lets herself wallow in them, no matter how tempting that can be. She sees you're back to buck with Lupa Lupin. Can't see how there's any way to avoid that now. Not for long, at least. She says the horrors of your younger days were enough to ruin anyone, but not you. You've got all that cheer about you still. Noko says history is like the trail you've been on. You can walk back down it any time you like, until it's... She wants Lupa Lupin to pay too, even though she strongly believes forgiveness is the strongest revenge. Asks how many paths you've wandered in the world, and if you ever wonder about what might have changed if you'd taken different ones. The choices can be overwhelming, but you have to choose, or you just stay where you are. And what kind of choice is that? So happy the world is going to live, would have been crushed to see all the gnotes die with it. Likes that you stood up for the world and spurred your way toward helping it out. Glad you saw the light with the myriad. They always bring a sparkliness to any day, and sometimes the nights too. They're just so shiny, makes her smile to think about them. But let's not speak of that now. She has an idea where the Majut might have gone, as there's no other place it likes as much as its own corner of the open wild. She's even named it the Majut Meadow. The Majut will recognize the scent you've attracted while being here, so it'll probably trust you enough to follow you. You should lead the Majut back here when you find it. It's going to take time to get it calm enough to be able to ride out to the... It's the most magnificent creature she's ever encountered. A creature straight out of a dream or story. You seem to have made a new friend. You found the Majut meadow. Watch out for the Majut. The world is full of sea.
Andro? Tropalo.
Now that the Majut is back in the pen, it seems calm. But Noko is still
Chialdo male canoto.
She says the Majut is still anxious, but fortunately she knows just the thing it needs to calm down.
Aplitonumuta. Canorota.
The Majut once found and ate a bonbon gummy by mistake, and that the chewing really...
Do male tuku. Taifanamenuma. Chialdo male canoto.
She says that you should find some bonbon gummies for the Majut by the crossway. At least, that's where she found some last time.
Canamunt. Chialdo male canoto.
She figures the choosies from the old world are made from gummy trees, but wouldn't be surprised if they were actually made from some chemical concoction, though. Look at those notices on the board. Too bad the Gnotes couldn't read them. If you wander around here, you might find Noko. She just... Once the power ran out, it made sense to ride Gnotes. And that tradition continued through the years. Nope, you still have to feed them, but food's easier to find. Watch your step here, and you might find tracks of another traveler. Stories only survive if someone is listening, so pay attention. A crossway. This means you have a choice to make. Which way? Oh, it's locked. Your destiny waits on the path you'll take to avoid it. Want to get your arms swole? Grab those guns flexors and get pumping that iron. Got to time it right to make them work. Left, right, left, right. Pumping good. Looking better. So much easier to see all the colors during the day. Need the right key? Cranks like these usually need to be wound to operate the dispenser. Just a few moves left. Make them count. What you see is what you get. Once it's out of the blind box, that is. You shouldn't be surprised if you flick the switches in order to greenlight the current and activate the electrons in the panel. Good. The loop is electrified enough to spark. With its attention diverted to the chewy bonbon gummy, the Majut calms down. But Noko is still concerned. She's relieved the Majut has calmed down, but you'll need a heavier sit-tight to ride it than the one she's got.
Andro?
The only sit-tight she can think of that would be heavy enough is one she's spotted mounted on an old-world Mechamajut.
Andro?
If she remembers correctly, she spotted it at the Smilo Shopperia while scavenging for treats for the Gnotes. That's...
Andro?
Seems the old world had plenty to offer, an all-in-one place for those obsessed with material things. Almost too much, if you ask her.